Hi everybody, it's 11:34, and if it's about 11:30 on a Tuesday morning, this is where I should be, as I hope you're now starting to realise this is my regular time to be going live on here with a range of health and well-being techniques that anybody can do, because I now use this umbrella of accessible well-being for all. Because well-being is something that everyone has to look after for themselves. But if you're in a wheelchair, you're not going to be doing yoga. And if you're a busy carer, you haven't got the time probably to spend 20-30 minutes a day doing something for yourself, like meditation or a little bit of qigong. And so the aim of these videos is to give people quick techniques that they can use. I'm just going to sit back. That they can use anytime that they have. But also because I'm very aware that, even simple things like, moving your arms around or, making sure that your body's in a certain position is impossible for certain people because of ill health or because of disability. Hello to all my CPM friends. Do you know what? That doesn't mean that things can't be done or that there aren't things that everybody can do. Because my watchword with Cerebral Palsy Midland has always been and will always be, if you can breathe, you can do it. Because breathing is one thing that everybody does. And the other thing that we all do is think. We can all use our imaginations. So that's why in these videos, I demonstrate techniques that don't take much time, that don't need you to have an awful lot of physical ability. And that's what my role is now, more and more and more. And these are your videos, so if there is anything you would particularly like me to cover, DM me wherever you've seen this, because I put these videos, I download them from Facebook and I upload them to YouTube, and then I put the YouTube link on Threads and on Twitter. Yes, I am still on Twitter, just on Threads and on Twitter. And I've yet to find an easy way to put videos on Instagram, but I do videos on Instagram anyway that are covered by this. And I think the main thing that I've learnt as I've learnt more and understand more about the techniques that I'm trained in, because I use them myself. That's why I trained in them, because I used them myself and they really helped me. I think the one thing I've really learnt is that the key to everything is what you choose to use your mind for. And even if all I'm asking you to do is just to sit still for a minute, if your mind is all over the place, you're not getting the kind of rest and relaxation that you probably need. So what I want to demonstrate today are a couple of techniques that can be really helpful in just keeping your mind a bit still. Hello to whoever's just come in. That can really be helpful in keeping your mind still, even if only for a moment. Hello, Hayley. Nice to see you in, my lovely. So, whoever or wherever you are, I'm just going to invite you to sit, stand, lie, whatever position you happen to be in at the moment. And all I'm going to ask you to do is to give me 1 minute. Just 1 minute. But before you get yourself settled, I would like you to find something to look at. It can be a vase of flowers, it can be a mug, it could be a crystal, it could be something that you can see out of your window. And for 1 minute, all I want you to do is to really focus on looking at that thing and really notice everything that there is to be noticed about that. So I'll give you a moment to just find what you're going to look at. And if you want to and are able to pick something up, please go and do so. In fact, I'm just going to go and pick something up. So while you're sorting out what you're going to be looking at, I'm sorting out what I'm going to be looking at too. I'll be right back. And what I'm going to be looking at is this wonderful crystal, which I'm going to hold in my hand. If you can hold it in your hand so you can feel it as well, that's great. We're just going to do this for a short period of time once you've got your thing that you're going to examine. For the next 30 seconds to a minute, I just want you to really focus all your attention on what you've chosen to look at. Okay, now, what I chose to do with mine was I actually rested on my hand, and I decided it would be interesting just to look at different sides of my crystal. And what I'm aware of is it's quite heavy, which I knew. The bottom's rough, and I've realised there's a slight imperfection along the one side where it's cracked more than the others. I found myself fascinated by the way the lines run through. And I noticed, and I'd never noticed this before, there is a very, very slight imperfection, which you probably can't even see. I'll put it really close to the camera, but I doubt very much if you can see it just at the tip of the pyramid. Now, this is a technique that can be used. You don't have to make time for it. It's a technique that can be expanded so that whatever you're doing, you can choose to pay very focused attention to part of whatever you're doing. If you're about to eat a biscuit, really focus on how the biscuit feels in your hand as you pick it up, or on how the biscuit feels as you crunch it in between your teeth. Or when you're drinking, instead of just drinking it without really thinking, take the first few sips really, really slowly. I've got a cup of tea here. I'll show you how this works. So just gulping it down, you let the tea rest in your mouth, or the drink rest in your mouth for a moment. Really become aware of the textures, the heat. Basically, what I'm saying is that any time that you recognise that your mind is all over the place and you're at that kind of place where you're thinking, stop the world, I want to get off, you can use almost anything that you're doing at the time to draw your focus in. Even simple things like washing your hands, putting hand sanitizer on, washing up, cooking. Almost anything that you do during a day, you can choose to use for however long it's practical, to just be a focus, to keep your mind still. Because if your mind is completely focused on cutting up an onion for whatever you're cooking for dinner, or cooking vegetables, and if instead of just doing it mindlessly, you're really aware of the feel of the knife in your hand, you're aware of the aroma of the vegetables that you're actually cutting up, you're giving your mind a rest from everything else. And it doesn't matter if you can't do that for the whole of the time that you're doing it. Even giving yourself giving your mind a rest for 1 minute can be helpful. Now, stillness, as anyone who's ever been in any of my meditations will know, I often talk about stillness of the mind, stillness of the body, and I will go on about how in the stillness it's when our bodies and our minds can heal, rest, repair, which is absolutely true. That's why we need to sleep every night, because when we're in bed and we're asleep, our minds and our bodies haven't got to do anything. Your body can focus on healing itself. That's one reason why when you've had even minor surgery, you feel incredibly tired, because that's nature's way of saying, look, you've got this wound in you, I need to heal it, and I can't heal it if you're running around like a mad thing. So hang on a minute, I'm going to make you really sleepy, because then you'll go to sleep and you'll be still, and I haven't got to focus on anything else apart from healing your injuries. That's why we all need to be still. And if you've been in any of my meditations, you will have heard me almost certainly use the image of, you go and buy a new car. You get in that car and you drive and you drive and you drive and you drive and you drive. But you can't keep driving forever because the car needs to be refilled with petrol. The car may break down. The car needs to be repaired. The car needs maintenance. And that can't happen while you're driving it. Well, if your car can't keep going forever, neither can your body. And your body and your mind tend to reflect very much what's going on with each other. And another phrase you may have heard me use is that allowing, I do a portion of my meditations where I invite you to focus on the breath and focus on the stillness in between your breath. And I will use the phrase, allow the stillness that you found there to be reflected in your mind and your body. So the next quick technique I want to share with you is, and this is something that you may not be able to stop and just do right now, so come back to this video when you need it. Just sit down. Try to make sure that you're sitting in a good posture with a nice straight back. But just sit still for 10 breaths. Close your eyes if you want to, but just sit and count 10 breaths. Which isn't very long. And again, you are keeping your body still, and for a short period of time, that's quite easy. Because most people are quite happy to sit still for a minute. The problem with longer meditations is that you tend to get a bit physically restless, you tend to get a bit mentally restless because you lose your focus on what you're supposed to be thinking about, and your mind's thinking about, oh Lord, we need to get that repair fixed, I need a new part for my fridge freezer, whatever it is. But for a minute, that's okay. And everybody, I don't care who or what you're doing, can find 1 minute to sit and just breathe. And yeah, that's a sneaky way getting you to notice your breath. And why is that important? Because all too often, how your breath is reflects what's going on in your mind. If you're nice, peaceful, calm and relaxed, the chances are that your breath is going to be quite steady, quite slow. And if you've just had an argument with someone or you're upset, chances are your breath is going to be quite fast. And that's being mindful. That's noticing what your breath is telling you about your mind. And you know what? A funny thing happens. If you find lots of ways that you can build these minutes of stillness, mindfulness, mindful stillness, let's call it, into your day, do you know what? It becomes a habit. And suddenly you find that you're noticing things even when you're not in a mode where you're thinking, oh, I just need to take a break. I'm just going to sit and focus on my breath for a moment. You find that you notice things even when you weren't intending to. Because as I always say, the things that people do in my sessions, I want them to enjoy them. It's great if you've got the opportunity to spend 45 minutes or an hour doing a bit of Qigong, doing a bit of mindfulness. As my CPM friends know, I've built a bit of a sound bath into what I do for them as well. Yes, it's wonderful. But the real benefit to you doesn't come from what you do with me, or when you go to a sound bath, or when you go on a spa retreat or whatever. The real benefit comes from what you choose to do for yourself every day. And every single person who's watching this can do something, because you're all breathing and you're all thinking. And I hope that what I've given you today is a couple of simple, quick techniques that you can do, that you can practice, so that you bring those moments of mindful stillness into your day more frequently, because you will feel the benefit. Trust me, you will feel the benefit. Now, before I go, I'd like to end with a very short mindful meditation, just 2-3 minutes. So if you're able to join in the meditation, get yourself settled now. If you can't join in the meditation now, I mean, you're thinking, oh, I'll play it back later, look for me to make the Namaste sign, my Namaste sign, to signal that I'm beginning the meditation proper. So, I invite you to get yourself seated or standing or lying and comfortable. And I'd like you to think about what comfortable means for you. Where are you aware of feelings of comfort in your body? Even if you've got a lot of physical issues, aches, pains, cramp, whatever, I invite you now just to notice any part of your body where you're aware that, oh, that's comfortable. And as you notice it, just let your mind become focused on that area and that feeling of comfort. And as you focus your mind on that feeling of comfort, can you allow your mind to become more settled? Just really notice what the concept of being settled and comfortable means for you. And then I invite you to close your eyes, if it feels right to do so. And I just want you to take a moment to say thank you to yourself for giving yourself time to feel comfortable and settled. Because if you're like most people, you don't thank yourself enough for what you do for yourself. We're all very good at thanking other people. But I want you to take a moment to thank yourself for taking this time just to do something for you, because you're worth it. And then I'd like you to see if you can think of 3 other things or people or events, whatever it is, 3 other things in your life that you're grateful for. It could be gratitude for someone who's helped you. It could be gratitude for the simple fact of knowing that you've got shelter and warmth and clothes. It could be gratitude for knowing that you've got enough food in to eat. And just as you express gratitude to yourself for giving yourself this time, now you've got other things to be grateful for. And gratitude is one of the attitudes of mindfulness. And you can choose to be grateful for almost anything. In fact, you may be surprised by how much you have to be grateful for. Whether they're big things or small things. So bring your mind back into your body. And maybe take a moment to express gratitude for the chair or the bed that's supporting you now. And then gently bring yourself back to normal reality, opening your eyes if they were closed. And just get ready to go on with the rest of your day, whatever it is. But my challenge for you as a result of this is take time to express gratitude to someone else today. But also try to take moments out just to think, well, you know, I'm really grateful that I've got this in my life, whether it's a gadget, whether it's a person, whatever it is. Just take time to notice how much you have to be grateful for. Sadly, life isn't perfect. No one's got a perfect life. And as I often said, I haven't got a magic wand, can't solve everybody's problems. If I could, I'd be very busy because there's an awful lot of people that I would like to solve problems for, including me. But all I can do is deal with my own problems as best I can. And that involves things like taking time out to express gratitude and you know, taking time out to do things that I know benefit myself. Because if I don't help myself, nobody else can help me. And the same's true for you. If you don't choose to help yourself, nobody else can help you, because you can sit here and do all the meditations and watch all my videos, and if you don't put anything into practice, nothing is going to change. Something needs to change. That change has to start with you. So today, I hope that you've found those quick techniques of really just taking a minute out to just pay close attention to something. Or taking a minute out to just sit and focus on your breath. Just focus on 10 breaths. Just give yourself a break. But if you can express gratitude to yourself for what you're doing for yourself and can find other things you're thinking, do you know what? I'm really lucky that's there. I'm grateful for it. You will find that the world does change. I'll never forget, many years ago, I got a telephone call out of the blue from somebody I knew from a forum, who told me that his daughter had suddenly, out of the blue, been diagnosed with motor neurone disease, and he and his wife were absolutely devastated, as you can imagine. And I was on my way to a hypnotherapy course, and I thought, oh gosh, he's come to me for help, So I sat and chatted for a bit, and I still don't really remember what I said. But I must have said, well, obviously the feedback told me one thing I'd said. And a few weeks later, I was in contact again. He said, how's things going? He said, you know what? He gave me an update on my daughter, on his daughter and things like that. He said, but you know what? I remembered what you said. He said, and every night when my wife and I go to bed, we think back during the day and we find one thing that we can be grateful for. And that helped him and his wife go to sleep. It didn't take away the issue with their daughter, but it meant they weren't constantly focusing on the bad things that were going on, which is all too easy to do, but they were focusing on the things they'd got that they were grateful for. And really that's what I'm encouraging you to do. Whether your circumstances are good, I hope none of you quite got the dramatic circumstance that my friend had. But getting in the habit of finding things that you can be grateful for is actually a very good habit, because it's like everything, once you actively start looking for things that, I'm really grateful for that, it's amazing how much you find. And when you realise how much you've got to be grateful for, suddenly life can start to look a little bit different. It may not change the big problems, but one thing I do know, it'll change what's going on up here. Change what's going on in your mind. And as always, the key is you get more of what you choose to focus on. And I hope this video has given you a few simple techniques that you can choose to use to focus your mind on things that are neutral, on things that are quick, on things that are easy, or on things that you realise you need to appreciate more. Because it's very true, sometimes you don't realise what you've got until you've lost it. So thank you for watching this video. Wherever you've seen it, if I've said anything that you want to go into deeper, I'm very happy to book one-to-one video sessions. And all I ask is a payment of what you can afford, a minimum donation of £1 UK for a 30-minute video session, and you can cover an awful lot in 30 minutes. In the meantime, take care of yourself. I'll be back on Facebook soon. I also do videos on Instagram, and I'm starting to put more and more stuff on Threads. So take care of yourself and remember, you matter. Namaste.